In a fascinating exchange, the guest dives into the parallels between stand-up comedians and strippers. Both professions reveal a unique vulnerability, sharing raw aspects of themselves with an audience. The intriguing idea here is how these seemingly different worlds intersect in their truth-telling and exposure.
I agree. Look, there's a weird sort of connection between stand-up comics and strippers. The best comedians, you're watching them naked in a certain way, verbally. And that's obviously the strippers too, literally.
The host elaborates on the unconventional lifestyles, noting how this nakedness, whether literal or metaphorical, can connect individuals deeply.
Yeah, and you're also living this weird alternative life that most people with 9-to-5 jobs can't relate to. If you date a stripper, it's strange in a similar way to dating an actor, but acting feels less naked.
The discussion shifts to actors, contrasting their experience with comedians and strippers. The guest perceives acting as an exploration of naked truth, while the host argues it acts more as a protective disguise.
I think the best actors are opening up their souls. They become that guy.
But the acting thing is like the opposite of being naked. It's putting on like armor, pretending to be some character.
To illustrate, the host offers Christian Bale's transformation in The Machinist. While impressive, the host sees it as embodying someone else rather than revealing one's authentic self.
Christian Bale wasn't really an anorexic that couldn't sleep. He forced himself to do that. It was an affectation.
Their conversation underscores a captivating exploration of truth and artifice across professions, questioning what it truly means to be naked in front of an audience. The discussion explores the impact of today's extended lifespans on marriage, with the guest and host exchanging lighthearted banter about the amusing challenges of long-term relationships.
And yeah, the marriage thing is weird now, particularly in light of all of these supplements and things that you talk about, because people are just going to live longer.
Well, if it works, it works. Imagine being really happy for 30 years, then living another 100. Would you break it off or start fresh?
Their humorous exchange highlights the natural complexity and flexibility needed in relationships. The conversation then shifts to the surroundings, a studio, and the host's upcoming performance at the iconic Chicago Theater.
The Chicago Theater. What? That's so huge. You can't get bigger than that.
Yeah, I'm coming soon. January 24th, Chicago Theater. Me and the great Ari Shafir.
The guest's admiration for the studio transitions to a discussion on the influence of leaders like JFK and Obama, and they humorously consider a comedian president.
So, with JFK, you had the first president who was on camera. And they say Barack Obama is like a rock star president.
There's nothing hilarious about running the military-industrial complex.
The jocular insight draws parallels with leadership styles, showing how charisma and humor play a role. Through laughter, they acknowledge the bonds forged through shared humor.
If you looked at this stuff written down on paper, you'd go, these guys are jerks. What kind of statements are these? But in the moment, this is great. Yes, in the moment.
These are just jokes, folks.
The allure of show business thrives on maintaining mystery. The guest underscores the importance of not mingling with icons like Matt and Trey in everyday settings to preserve their mystique.
It's almost like I don't want to see Matt and Trey eating at a restaurant or something. I don't want to think they're mortal.
Living in Brooklyn, the guest distances themselves from Hollywood's buzz while embarking on a 100-city comedy tour, exploring often overlooked locations with eager audiences.
I'm going to 100 cities this year. I'm a professional traveler. I sell comedy. I get paid to fly, and I perform for free.
The tour, thank God for jokes, includes diverse and sometimes obscure cities.
Eugene, Oregon. That's obscure. That's a hippie place. A lot of like patchouli people in that audience.
Well, they're Mike Birbiglia fans. They know who you are. They're coming out to see you.
Discussing Los Angeles logistics, they humorously navigate its notorious traffic.
Los Angeles is crazy. It'll be like, it's 26 miles. And for time, it'll be like, it might take days.
It's amazing when you stop and think about it how few car accidents there actually are.
The conversation dives into the world of Mitch Hedberg, a comedic genius whose work continues to resonate. His style, often whimsical and philosophical, stands out in the comedy realm.
I love that. They're just so uniquely him, almost like how Stephen Wright has that absurdist weird view.
Mitch's jokes, like the one about being misunderstood, reflect his unique way of portraying human communication.
He had this joke about being misunderstood. It was the steamboat operator joke. It's ultimately about how communication can fail in such funny ways.
That's a perfect joke. It's like a piece of philosophy. Your impression was spot on.
Mitch's comedy blurred the lines between humor and deeper truths, offering a lens into the quirks of human nature.
We still have his albums. They're like windows into his unique method of crafting material.
The enduring impact of Mitch's art is highlighted by his conscious decision to maintain the mystique of his work.
Mitch once told me, "Don't ever show a girl your notebook. She's just supposed to see the final jokes on stage." It was during my first time featuring at Joker's Comedy Club.
That's so true. It preserves the magic of what he does.
This advice encapsulates Mitch's ability to separate personal struggle and societal expectations, reflecting his balance of light and dark in life.
Yeah, that's really a part of Mitch. His work invites us to experience joy and insight, freeing us from everyday concerns, even if just for a moment.
The conversation shifts to a thoughtful critique of political figures, where the need for reason and balance in governance takes center stage. Barack Obama is highlighted as a prime example of a level-headed leader.
Reasonable is probably the most important thing anybody needs. What do you think is the most important quality you need to govern?
Level-headed, I think, is a huge quality. That was why I voted for Barack Obama. He seemed smart.
They humorously scrutinize alternatives, focusing on the perceived absurdity of some political paths.
What was the alternative? A dead man and a dumb contender. Next was a Mormon from a family that moved to Mexico to have more wives. It's crazy.
The conversation transitions to cultural satire with high praise for creators like Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Their work, especially in the Book of Mormon, is lauded for its audacity and satirical brilliance.
Did you see the Book of Mormon? Mormons even advertise in the playbill.
I've seen it twice. Matt and Trey are like modern Twain. What they do is brilliant satire, perfectly written and insane. They get away with the craziest stuff on TV.
They recount bold scenes from South Park as examples of fearless satire.
The Slut Off with Paris Hilton. They can get away with so much because they're cartoons.
The Kanye West Gay Fish episode, one of the greatest takedowns in pop culture. It's amazing.
This admiration extends to the creative atmosphere of Los Angeles, where these creators reside.
Honestly, Matt and Trey intimidate me. People I admire so much live right here, and it's mind-blowing.
The conversation explores the remarkable way comedy becomes a personal philosophy, transforming life's hurdles into humor. The guest passionately describes how laughter is their guiding force, akin to a religion.
At least you got comedy out of it, though, right? I feel great. I mean, honestly, comedy is everything to me. That's why I thank God for Jokes Tour. My new show is about how jokes are, in a way, my religion. They're the philosophy that I believe in.
The host admires the guest's perspective, reflecting on the art form itself.
And it makes it more fun. Yeah. Still to this day, stand-up comedy is one of my favorite things to watch. I still enjoy it very much as an audience member.
The guest shares their admiration for fellow comedians, spotlighting Doug Stanhope's special as a prime example of how comedy challenges and enlightens.
Man, I thought Stanhope's special this year. It was like one of the best comedy specials I've ever seen. It was a euphoric experience, the two of us watching that.
The host and guest delve into the nature of comedic creation, recognizing it as a disciplined, almost mythic art form that connects audiences.
And one of the things that Stanhope does is he is that guy, lives in the desert, this weird town in Arizona.
He keeps, twisting the knife in different directions. Yeah. He'll take you one way, and you'll be like, ooh, I don't know if I could go there.
The discipline of creation is really what it's all about, whether you're writing books, writing jokes, creating music.
A shared consensus emerges that comedy's ability to turn darkness into light offers not just entertainment, but a profound, unifying. The conversation delves into the nuances of dietary changes and health, sparking a humorous dialogue about gluten-free pizza.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm not a perfect eater. I still eat ice cream and drink milk. What do you do about pizza? Gluten-free pizza.
I don't. I tried. It's not good. I haven't had pizza in a long time.
Their discussion soon shifts to the broader issue of nutrition, emphasizing essential vitamins and green leafy vegetables.
The big issue is green leafy vegetables. People just don't eat enough. Without them or vitamins, good luck.
The guest shares their recent venture into vitamin supplements, noting an improvement in well-being.
Yeah, I think I'm in that boat. I started taking vitamins 2 months ago. I feel better. Your body's not starving.
To manage health while traveling, the guest integrates yoga into their routine, promoting balance.
It's hard to travel and be healthy. I started doing yoga when I travel. I feel a lot better doing that.
In a lighter moment, they discuss strip clubs, sharing a personal anecdote about anonymity being challenged.
I used to go to strip clubs a lot. But then in Nashville, a guy recognized me. I'm never going back. I like the anonymity of it.
Why? Because you don't want people to know?
I don't want anyone to watch me watch someone be naked. I can't handle that.
The conversation weaves humor with serious reflections on finding what is essential in our diets and lives, illustrating a journey towards well-being. The discussion shifts to managing health through modern medicine, holistic practices, and dietary modifications. The guest shares their experience with a sleep disorder and their approach to managing it.
I did a sleep study at the hospital for 4 nights, so they really know what I have. Well, because I'm not a doctor, I don't want people to self-diagnose.
Their treatment includes anti-anxiety medication, which sometimes leaves them feeling sluggish.
I feel like what I take makes me a bit fuzzy. I have to drink a lot of coffee to feel normal, which I don't love.
They also consulted a holistic doctor, who recommended vitamins based on extensive blood tests to balance the guest's condition.
She took like 10 vials of my blood and did a whole thing on which vitamins I should take. I feel like that's leveling me off a little bit.
The conversation moves to dietary habits, specifically gluten removal and its transformative impact.
I stopped gluten when I was filming a show and dealing with back problems. Getting off gluten reduces inflammation and a lot of the symptoms of injuries subside.
The host shares the unexpected benefits, particularly regarding energy levels.
My energy level was different, especially after meals. After eating, I wasn't in a coma. I'm Italian and most of my life was pasta and bread with every meal.
They explore the difference between modern and historical wheat, agreeing that the current variety is harder to process.
That wheat is much more difficult for people to process, it's a fact. There's science behind that, not just another fact.
The conversation begins with the guest's awe-inspiring visit to the Keck Observatory in Hawaii, where the stars above the clouds ignited a sense of wonder.
One of the most life-changing things I've ever done is going to the Keck Observatory. The view of the stars is so mind-blowing. You can't believe it's real.
They compare this experience to the untouched beauty of Alaska's wilderness, emphasizing it as a must-visit destination. The conversation opens with a lively discussion on Neil deGrasse Tyson's critique of gravity. The host finds humor in the backlash Tyson received for pointing out the film's scientific inaccuracies.
You can't correct a Sandra Bullock movie. You just can't.
They agree Tyson's criticism is a mark of the film's impact, despite the inaccuracies.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says his criticisms of gravity are a compliment to its quality. To be criticized is a high compliment indeed.
The host reflects on the immersive nature of gravity, appreciating the silence amidst chaos, which made the experience more visceral.
I love the fact that everything was silent, yet you're still freaking out. It was actually more effective.
The guest emphasizes the film's unique narrative, highlighting the protagonist's personal journey rather than a world-saving mission.
What's exciting about the movie is it's a major budget film where the lead character doesn't save the world. She just saves herself.
The discussion then shifts toward the vastness of unexplored frontiers like space and the sea. Both agree these realms are often overlooked in humanity's quest for understanding.
Space is probably the most overlooked thing, along with the sea.
They touch on human interactions with intelligent life, such as marine animals. The guest expresses concern for their mistreatment and the potential implications this behavior holds for hypothetical alien encounters.
People are generally unwilling to accept sea life as having an intelligence we don't understand.
The conversation humorously concludes with speculation about alien interactions, fueled by the notion of inevitable conflict due to human behavior.
When the aliens come, it's going to go one of two ways. We enslave them, or they enslave us. That's it.